All right, it is Thursday, March 26th, and I'm going to call this session of the Ridgefield City Council to order. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Hamilton?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have a seat. That feels appropriate. It's opening day. It's opening day. This should be a banker's holiday. Miss Julie, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Councilmember Favela. Here. Councilmember Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Burkle.
Present.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Chipman. Here. Mayor Cole.
Present. Thank you very much. Mr. Stewart, are there any late changes to the agenda?
No changes, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to move on. We have a proclamation to kick things off tonight. It is Red Cross Month. So I'm going to read the proclamation, and then we're going to have Mr. Derek Chin and others come up from the Red Cross to receive it, and we'll let him say something. So the proclamation says, whereas Red Cross Month began during World War II, when President Franklin D. Roosevelt called on individuals to address growing humanitarian needs, what started as a national call to action has become a community tradition, reaffirming the power of compassion and the impact we can make together. And whereas every March, communities come together for Red Cross Month to honor the people who provide comfort and care when help can't wait, with a special focus on the 92% of the Red Cross workforce who are volunteers. And whereas for Ridgefield, we honor the volunteers and donors of Southwest Washington Chapter of American Red Cross. In 2025 alone, the Southwest Washington Chapter provided relief and recovery to over 900 households. They collected over 166,000 units of blood, supported over 5,000 service members through the Service of the Armed Forces program, and trained over 50,000 people in CPR, first aid, babysitting, water safety. And whereas Red Cross Month is a special time to recognize our neighbors who step up to care for each other, said Megan Dolger, the Northwest Region CEO. Throughout our region, these community heroes provide a beacon of hope in people's darkest hours, whether it's comforting a family after a disaster, donating vital blood for hospital patients, saving a life with the skills like first aid and CPR, or supporting military and veterans families. Now, therefore, I, Matt Cole, Mayor of the City of Ridgefield, Washington, do hereby proclaim the month of March as Red Cross Month and remind all residents that you can make a difference as well. Join the Ridgefield humanitarian effort by volunteering, giving blood, learning life-saving skills, or making a financial donation, dated this 26th day of March, 2026. Thank you very much. Come on up. We'll give that to you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great to have you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Podium is yours.
My name is Derek Chin, and I'm the Executive Director of the Southwest Washington Chapter of the Red Cross. And I just want to say thank you for the recognition. We appreciate that we can work with various partners and volunteers that live in your community. And we're particularly grateful for the hospitality that you extend to us. We have a Red Cross Club at the high school. We do blood drives in the area. We do various workshops for preparedness. And we are very, again, grateful for what you extend to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's do a quick photo real quick. We'll have you come up, and council, I think we can stay here. Yeah, be good. Yeah, just right here. Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. Julie will take it. Oh. Thank you again, gentlemen. Good to have you. All right. I always love doing those. Okay, we're going to move on. It is now time for public comment. Anybody wishing to address City Council regarding items not subject to a specific public hearing may come forward at this time to the podium, or use the raise hand feature located at the bottom of the toolbar of your Zoom screen. For For controls over the phone, press star 9 for raise hand and press star 6 to mute or unmute. Please state your name and limit your comments to
My name is
3 minutes.
Ron Onslow, and I'm a resident of Ridgefield, and I just wanted to explain about that Red Cross. They have left now, but my wife has been on the board of the directors of the Red Cross, and she is a perfect example of, if it weren't for the Red Cross, she would not be alive today, because they brought her 1,500 pints of blood in 1 year. So it's really worthwhile.
Good evening, Council. My name is Heather Gordon, and I'm a resident of Ridgefield. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. The Garden Club is here tonight, as you can see, to ask for your help and support to continue some important work we're doing. This ask is also important with the work City itself is doing. The work has to do with native plants that we are installing in our parks and public landscapes. So here's the ask. We request that city landscape maintenance practices be changed and adapted in areas where primarily native plants are being used so that these plants can thrive and deliver their benefits. In a meeting with Ryan Thamert in May 2025, I was informed that the only way to alter landscaping practices for certain city areas, like our roundabouts or parks, is with City Council direction. So why do we need to change our landscaping practices? Typical landscape maintenance practices do not support native plant installations. Thus, these new installations will not do what they are designed to do, and they're designed to save the money maintenance costs, save the city watering costs, deliver important environmental benefits to the city, and create natural Pacific Northwest beauty within our city. Here's 4 examples of how our maintenance practices would alter in spaces that are primarily native and pollinator plants. Plants would be allowed to express themselves and not be sheared or pruned into hedges or boxes. They would be encouraged to grow together and fill in and create denser growth. That prevents evaporation, shades out weeds, and creates habitat for bees, butterflies, and birds. The leaves and plant matter coming from these plants will be left to break down naturally to enrich soil, create healthy plant fertilizer, and create habitat. And herbicides and fungicides would not be applied on the soils anywhere near these plant installations. This request has urgency. The Garden Club is nearly 2 years into maintaining a lovely native plant area in Davis Park. We gifted this area with the understanding that we would pass the maintenance along to the city around year 2 so that we could turn our attention to another city park and do more. And we're ready to do that. We're ready to start on some new projects. We've been talking with parks about this. But we need a good handoff to our babies. Also, the city now has amazing native plant installation throughout all of the Storybook Hollow Park. 95% of that park is planted in a diverse range of native plants. With revised landscape maintenance practices, those plantings will provide lots of benefits to residents in the city. The city also has 2 recent roundabouts planted in primarily natives. So we're doing it. Ridgefield is planting natives, and we're meeting a goal set in our own 2016 comprehensive plan to plant natives. But we do need to adapt how we as a city take care of these new landscapes so that we can actually reap the benefits. We're asking the city to change how it maintains landscapes in certain areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Manisha Sharma. I'm part of the Ridgefield Garden Club. I moved to Ridgefield just a few weeks shy of a year, back to the Pacific Northwest after 10 years. Love this area. And I have a single point to make. Bees, and please more bees. The city has considered being a bee city for a while, and they've talked about it for a month. We'd just really like that initiative to come back onto the table. There is the Cersei Society, which sponsors the initiative, which provides free, yes, very free support to the city in developing landscape practices that will help these special plant areas in our city. So I'll just close with a lot more time and just say, please, more bees.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Judy Reel. I am a co-president of the Garden Club, and I first want to say how proud I am of the club. And in particular, I want to stress the importance of this issue to our club. I'm here to talk about process. What happens now? When I heard that we actually had to go to City Council to get instructions to how to properly care for the newly planted plants, I was actually rather surprised because I'm not experienced with City Council directing frontline workers and how they do their jobs. You don't tell stormwater drain people what tools to use. You don't tell building maintenance people what kind of cleaning fluids they should use. But apparently you need to actually get involved in how we take care of our plants. And so we've done so. We are here. But my question is really, what now? Do you guys have to bring a motion? Do you need a staff report? Do you proceed by way of ordinance on this? And the reason it's important is because that takes time. And we're faced right now with developing projects for the spring and the summer. And as a club, I think we need to know, well, where do we put our resources? We need the plants to be properly cared for. And we think that that will be done, but the question is, when will that instruction come down? If, on the other hand, my suspicions, what I originally thought would happen are correct, is that council really doesn't need to weigh in on this kind of specificity. If it turns out, for example, that Mr. Thambert or Mr. Stewart can simply give the direction, no, let's figure out the proper way to maintain these plants and work with the garden club, then it would be really helpful if somebody in the city could get back to Heather Gordon, just so that we know where are we in the planning process and how long is this going to take. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Shelley Geider, and I live in Ridgefield, and I'm representing the 4th of July committee tonight. Unfortunately, I have a black thumb, so I will not be joining the Garden Club, but I appreciate your energy and excitement for it. So I'm coming to talk about the candy situation, and I just took a few notes off the Facebook moms group about what was happening and how upset people were that there wasn't going to be candy this year in our parade. So one of the comments was, the kids come out so far out to the street for the candy. I drove in a few parades and they're literally right next to the moving cars. No matter how many times we had to stop and tell everyone to move back, they just kept coming to the street. Someone also commented, absolutely, if parents would step in, that would make a huge difference. When I was in it driving, we had to stop multiple times to make sure kids were out of the way. It happens at multiple areas throughout that short route. I honestly can't blame them for canceling the candy. Every year, kids are literally moving closer and closer into the street just to get candy. I almost see kids get knocked over by other kids and fall further in the street by moving cars. It is so dangerous, and they just want candy. We had our kids sitting on the curb in front of our chairs and waiting for people to walk by and hand out candy. Within minutes of the parade starting, a huge group of kids came and stood right in front of them and continually walked right up to vehicles to get candy. Not only was it disrespectful to our children, but it put people in the parade at risk. So just kind of as a thought, many municipalities have canceled throwing candy at a parade, which we know it's a high-risk environment. And also our insurance company does not cover that any longer. A slip, trip, or fall is a great risk. Falling off a float or a vehicle is a risk. You can sue the person handing out the candy, the person driving the vehicle, the organizer of the event. There can be an alternative to passing out candy, but please leave it up to our committee to decide what that looks like. And just a moment to reflect. Getting a Tootsie Pop tossed from a float, or knowing that every safety measure was taken, no one got hurt, and every child, every driver, and every spectator went home safe. We appreciate everyone's understanding and support as we continue improving our events for all who attend. And just in closing, I also want to say on the record that a city council can make final decisions regarding the 4th of July event without any discussion or input from our 4th of July committee. I want to caution other volunteer organizations in Ridgefield, because you might have a Ridgefield City Council making decisions for your events that you don't have control over. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sandy Schill. Thank you, city staff, council, mayor, for allowing me to speak. Thank you, Shelley, for speaking on my behalf. Shelley is going to be taking over my role in the 4th of July. And so this is one of the first things she gets to experience. This will be my 19th year volunteering on the 4th of July committee. We put this event on with the city as our #1 supporter. I heard through the grapevine that the council had a sudden thought that we needed to reserve spectator seating for those who showed up late. It was discussed, quick vote, unanimously passed. Not one council member thought to say, should we talk to the people that put on this event? I could have given you a few other things to consider in that discussion. For the past 3 years, back up. Now we're hearing another grapevine that the city's going to force us to allow parade entries to hand out things during the parade. And I'm not just talking about candy, I'm talking about rubber balls, flags, toothbrushes, pencils, everything that comes off these floats. Every entry has something to pass out now because they feel obligated. For the past 3 years, the children have been creeping closer to the parade entries, endangering themselves. The parents are not monitoring them. They get complaints we get complaints from entries, and we're mandated to marshal the course and the route. Twice I walked the length of 3rd Avenue from Pioneer to Division during the parade, herding the children back to the curb. The parents were no help. Some told me to F off. I was under so much stress that I stopped the parade twice to get kids back from the moving trucks, yet it was futile. Our parade is now a wheel of chance that a child is going to get hurt. 2 years ago, a 19-year-old in the Battleground Parade got trapped under a tire of a trailer, broke many of her bones. At the time I was checking in on her, she was in her 19th day in the ICU. Her head got trapped under the tire, and it didn't run over her head, it scooted it down the asphalt, and she has permanent brain damage to this day. As a surgery nurse, I've had to experience a few of my patients die before me. But when a child dies in your presence, it is different. It never leaves your memory, and it haunts you forever. That little girl will never leave my memory. I do not want to be part of an event that another memory is sealed in because I wanted to prevent it, but a group of people who didn't want to talk to us insisted on us having it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment this evening in the room? Ms. Julie, is there anybody online?
Not seeing anyone online, Mayor.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to close public comment at this time. Thank you for everybody who showed up tonight. Thank you for your thoughtful comments, and we'll be responding to people. We've been taking notes, but thank you very much. Okay. We are going to move on to the consent agenda. Council, I would accept a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. And we're going to jump right into a presentation. This is a presentation on the Sidewalk Management Program led by Mr. Ryan Thamer from Public Works. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're going to be discussing our Sidewalk Management Program. Recently, the city's sidewalk program was reviewed by WCIA, the city's insurance provider. And the WCIA took a look at our policies, our procedures, our municipal code, and some of our processes to see if there were ways to improve. Through that process, that review, there were a few key takeaways. Duty. The city has a duty to exercise ordinary care in the maintenance of its sidewalks to keep them reasonably safe for ordinary use. Importance. A successful sidewalk maintenance program is just as important as a street maintenance program. The sidewalks serve as the streets and highways for the pedestrians that travel through our community. Purpose. The sidewalk maintenance program is intended to prevent trips and fall incidents due to the deterioration of aging sidewalks, expansion of routes, and ground settlements. Historically, the courts have ruled that cities have a duty to the public to maintain the sidewalks in a reasonably safe condition. So now we're going to look at our sidewalk system overview. You'll see on the table, over the last 10 years, the city's sidewalks have grown tremendously. In 2016, we had 33 miles of sidewalks, and at the end of 2025, we had 84 miles of sidewalks, an increase of 51 miles or 154% in the last 10 years. Typically, over the years, we've averaged about 5 miles per year, but between 22 and 23, we added 11 miles of sidewalks that year. So our sidewalk management program was designed with input from WCIA to limit liability and ensure compliance with Washington state statutes. There are 3 main components of our sidewalk management program: new construction, private developments, and city capital projects. You're all familiar with these as these come before council for approval. Second, our ADA transition plan, which is looking at compliance with ADA standards and identifying gaps in current sidewalk system. This will be coming to you in the future as we complete that plan. And third, which is what we're going to be focusing on tonight, is the sidewalk hazard reports. So these are issues that are reported by residents and employees of the city, issues that are presenting safety concerns. So when the city receives a report of an unsafe sidewalk, Public Works staff go out and assess the unsafe condition and rate the issue into 3 categories: monitor, grind, and reconstruct. If the unsafe condition creates a tripping hazard, Public Works staff paints the hazard orange to make it more visible until the issue can be repaired. And I know that this was noticed a few months ago as a lot of areas, and especially in downtown, started turning orange. And this was required, or not required, but recommended by WCIA to bring awareness to tripping hazards. So the first category, monitor, the city will maintain an inventory of sidewalk issues that are less than a ½ inch. This could be a lift or a crack. ½ inch is critical because it's about the distance that for a trip or for like a bike tire or something to get stuck in the crack. So every 6 months, the Public Works Department will visit the site and assess if the defect has become worse. If the issue reaches the ½ inch threshold, the issue will be moved into the grind category. Public Works will grind sidewalk issues that are 1/2 to 2 inches. Grinding should be done when the ground is dry to minimize staining and dirty water runoff. Cracks and lifts that are more than 50% of the sidewalk thickness cannot be repaired by grinding. After grinding, the issue will be moved back to the monitor category, and grinding can typically only be done once before total reconstruction will be required. And in the pictures, you can see that what the finished product looks like, where we get the 2 panels to line up again and be relatively smooth. The final category is reconstruct. As you can see in the pictures, the damage and the hazard is pretty extensive, or can be pretty extensive. If a sidewalk issue is more than 2 inches, the city will require the sidewalk to be reconstructed. A sidewalk located in front of a city-owned property or located in the historic downtown corridor, Pioneer from 5th to Main, and North Main, Pioneer to Mill, will be reconstructed by the city. A sidewalk located along a private property is currently the responsibility of the adjacent property owner. So starting in July of 2025, the city had a backlog of about 59 reported issues. That some of these issues went back as far as 2016 and 2017. So Public Works went out and assessed all 59 of the issues following our new program. And through that process, they categorized each incident or each issue into the 3 categories. We ended up with 6 sidewalks that needed to be monitored, and we have continued to do that every 6 months since then. And 33 were designated as needing grinding, and the Public Works Department has completed all 33 of those issues. That leaves us with the 20 sidewalk issues that are going to require reconstruction. And that is what we're going to spend the rest of this presentation discussing, are those final 20, and how we're going to handle those. Our current sidewalk code is Ridgefield Municipal Code Title 20, and it establishes that the responsibility of all construction, repair, upkeep, reconstruction, and maintenance of sidewalks and curbs are the responsibility of the abutting property owner. The city has had no issues with requiring and enforcing construction, repair, upkeep, and maintenance of sidewalks. Reconstruction is the issue that we'll be discussing, and how do we want to handle these going forward. So our current process establishes that the process for reconstruction, but it is unclear and needs revision for clarity and compliance with state statutes. So step 1 of the process currently is for Public Works to evaluate and report to council the issues needing reconstruction. Step 2 is council makes the determination that the work is needed. And step 3 is notice is served on the owners requiring them to reconstruct the sidewalk. So we've put together a few options for how we can move forward that I'm looking to get some feedback on tonight. I'm going to just go down each column for each options, left to right, starting with option 1. And again, I'll be looking for some feedback and comments. Option 1, the responsible party would be the city. The process for completing required reconstruction, the city would identify the issue, complete a condition assessment, prioritize work over multiple years. Enforcement, there wouldn't be any enforcement in this scenario because the city would take on the work. So the budget considerations, the current annual sidewalk maintenance budget is $20,000. We could seek state and WCIA grants to supplement city funds. Typical sidewalk reconstruction for one panel would be typically less than $2,500. There are low administrative resources needed for this option. We are estimating that the sidewalks would need, the current sidewalks, I have not done a specific review on each issue, but just looking at them kind of collectively, we're estimating about $50,000 to $70,000 to complete this backlog of sidewalk repair, which using that $20,000 budget would take us 3 to 5 years to complete, possibly shorter if we were able to get grants or other funding. It could also be completed as a one-time budget initiative in a future budget year to get us current, and then we could use the budget, the ongoing budget for new issues that came up to keep us current. So option 2, the responsible party would be the abutting property owner. And I should add that option 2 is basically what we have today in code, but we would need to make some updates to keep us in compliance with state statutes. The process for completing required reconstruction, the city would use the full statutory process to get estimates, hold a hearing with published notice, and pass resolution declaring the work needed, and the work will be assessed to the property owners if they do not do the work in a certain time frame. Enforcement, if the work is not completed within the time frame, the city can do the work, and after completed, prepare an assessment roll and then pass an ordinance that imposes the assessment to be a lien on the property and collected from the property owners as a special assessment. Budget considerations. There are no budget impacts unless the work is not completed by the property owners. We would then need to use the existing $20,000 annual budget until the assessments are completed or the money's collected. This process is very time consuming from an administrative standpoint. So moving on now to our option 3. The responsible party would be the city and the abutting property owner, kind of a hybrid model of option 1 and 2. The process for completing the required reconstruction, the city would work with property owners to reach an agreement for the share of the work. It could be 50-50 or another arrangement. This could be reached in the form of a settlement agreement or a grant program. Enforcement, if the work is not completed within the terms of the grant program or settlement agreement, the city would then proceed to use the process set out in option 2. Budget considerations, the city's proportionate share of sidewalk reconstruction repairs. Again, it could be 50% or some other portion. Current budget for the sidewalk maintenance is $20,000, so that would cover the city's portion of that share. And this option would also be time consuming from an administrative standpoint. So I think with that, I'll kick this back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Thamer. Okay, I'm sure we're going to have some questions. So I'm going to start with our more senior members first. Councilor Wells, any questions from you?
I do have questions. Ryan, I got one question. You said the WCI grant could be up to 50% if we were successful? I'm not paraphrasing what you said. I'm trying to listen and hear again what you did say.
I think what Mr. Thamer was saying is that WCIA grants may be used. We would go after those to try to actually defray the cost for the public. The 50% was in the hybrid model, that the city might pay 50% and the adjacent homeowner might pay 50%. I think there are two different things being brought together.
I think it's a different part of a question. I guess what I'm going to say, if the project was $1,000 and WCI would turn around and pay 500 of it, no.
We don't know, do we know the match requirement for the WCIA grants? There is no match requirement for the WCIA grants. That's not the 50% that Mr. Thamer was talking about.
Okay.
So if it's $1,000 and we apply for $1,000 and the project's $1,000, we could get $1,000 from
you get the
WCIA.
total amount.
Correct.
So then if we didn't get it, then we're back to the hybrid where there'd be 50-50 for the city and the property owner.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I've witnessed some of the repair on the sidewalks that the crews have done, and they've done an immaculate job. They really, really, really do a good job compared to having a outside contractor come in and do it. I'm sure we're doing it a lot cheaper. They do part of a panel a day, and they'll move on to another one, and then they pour it. One of the questions I have, do we mix the concrete ourselves, or do we have a mini mix come in and do the pour? And that was one of the questions I had.
Yeah, typically we would use a mini mix service unless we had enough that we could bring in a full truck, but that's very rare.
Okay. How long are most panels?
6 feet.
Pardon?
6 feet.
6 feet. 6 feet, what's the thickness?
Typically 4 inches.
4 inches. 6 times 4 is 24 cubic feet, or 24 square feet. And you get 80 square feet per yard at 4 inches thick. So you would use a third of a yard per panel. I'm just doing a little math. I've poured a lot of concrete.
Okay.
So, a little institutional knowledge there. I think I'll pass for now and let somebody else ask some questions. I may have another.
Great, thank you, Councilor. We'll go to Mayor Pro Tem Shipman, and then we'll go to Councilor Burke afterwards.
I guess I'm just sitting here thinking about this and the administrative costs of trying to manage all this, and it just seems like it would be more cost-effective for us to just do it, you know what I mean? I mean, let's just spend the $70,000 and get it done. I mean, and try to get some grants to cover it, but I mean, I guess what I'm thinking about is how we want, the city and downtown, we want it to be attractive. We want people to come downtown. We want people to come to the shops and do all these things. And so that requires keeping the sidewalks up. And when you look at these pictures and when you walk on the sidewalks and they're not kept up, it isn't conducive to having people come down here. And so to me, even if we spent the whole $70,000 to get everything fixed up, that's a very small amount of money compared to what it would do to the downtown to get the people, feeling comfortable coming here and the sidewalks looking nice. That's my opinion about it. But to me, it's like a very small amount of money to do the whole thing ourselves.
Great, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Burkle.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a question, but I have a comment, and I think I've spoken to some people about this. The city I lived in, Illinois, every spring they would come around and they would review the sidewalk panels. And if you had a panel that needed repair, they would let you know, and we had a 50-50 program. Resident paid 50, city paid 50. I can only suggest to you, we did not have a bad panel anywhere. And the program was easy to execute. it got the job done, and like I say, our sidewalks in the city I lived in Illinois, they were perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Favela.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, as I sit here and kind of look at all the options, I am inclined for option one, that the city take responsibility, because this seems like the more equitable and consistent option. Sidewalks are essential public infrastructure. It does not mean the homeowner is only using that portion of the sidewalk, so therefore they should pay for this portion. And I think about the families that I work with, the families that we serve, and then to pop this additional expense onto them when people are already really struggling, it doesn't sit right with me. I also, at the same time, appreciate the hybrid model. I don't know if 50-50 would be the answer. I think there would need to be wiggle room on there, maybe even doing waivers for people who just cannot afford that. But just consistency overall and that equitable for everyone, I agree that I just think option one would be the best, and that's where I'm kind of leaning right now.
Great, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Davis?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just have I guess a couple of questions for Mr. Thamer. So, in your experience, have we had a situation where the sidewalk is in disrepair because of like an action or negligence from the property owner?
I am aware of a few situations. The two that I'm thinking of, we were able to approach the property owner about getting them fixed, and they took care of it.
Okay.
Mostly it was from either equipment or a vehicle that was very heavy driving across the sidewalk.
Okay. In terms of just like general maintenance, do we have any like guidance? I mean, I have a sidewalk in front of my house, and outside of pressure washing that when I do my driveway, I don't really do anything else. Is there any other guidance that somebody could be doing that would maybe help defray, or, you know, the option that they would get one that gets to disrepair?
So the main issues that we have sent out letters for regarding maintenance would be leaves piling up, and then like probably why you pressure wash to keep the green slime that builds up, and then also snow and ice removal during inclement weather. As far as what are things that people can do, most of the city has street trees. Yeah. So trimming roots from growing underneath, especially the roots that are right at the surface, from growing underneath the sidewalk, can help tremendously. And there's products that you can put in the ground to, root barriers that can stop the roots from coming underneath the sidewalks.
And I guess maybe this is for other city staff. So if there's street trees, is it common for those trees to be maintained by the HOA or by the homeowner? You know what I mean? Like in CCNRs.
So it's kind of a mix. Okay. We have some HOAs, like the Pioneer Canyon HOA, that all the trees are maintained by the HOA, but there are many HOAs where it's the responsibility of the property owner.
So I guess, I mean, I don't want to take up too much time. I guess where I'm at is, I feel like I would agree with Councilor Favela, where I think it's like basic infrastructure. I think you sort of put it in the same bucket as roads. And from that perspective, it's like the maintenance of it would go back to us. I do want to have a vehicle for us available where if it needs to be repaired because of somebody's negligence, that goes back to that person. But I guess I'm also trying to tie that nexus between, if you're a homeowner, a lot of people try and keep up with their stuff, and sometimes things just need to be replaced. regardless, but this just seems like a piece where you don't really have much control over whether it gets to a state of disrepair like that one has, and that would give me pause asking somebody to pay for that when it's really sort of a situation that's out of their control. So I don't know, that's just like, I guess, some insight to my thought, but I would want to have an opportunity where if somebody was negligent and it caused that we could still charge them and it wouldn't be the public paying for that. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. We'll go to Counselor Hamilton.
Thank you. I almost feel like, I recognize we're doing code changes and we're talking about code. I almost feel like we need to separate this into two issues, where we're dealing with the immediate 20 that we need to, and we can look at that. And I am of the agreement as well that option one makes sense to me, all while going after grants and doing what we can to offset our own personal costs. But then moving forward, potentially looking at option three, I don't believe 50-50 is the right answer. I think we should have further discussion on that, less on the property owner, more on the city. But I think that we should immediately look at and fix, like you said, infrastructure that needs fixing right now. And in those costs that we're looking at, like Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, admin labor is a cost. So if we are already spending money and it takes away that from our staff, I think that makes a lot of sense, and all those numbers pencil out. Because option two is what we have right now. So that seems like that one should sort of be off the table to me. It doesn't have to be off the table, but it's not one that makes sense to me personally. So I think that I agree very much with the maintenance piece that Councilor Davis said as well. I think that makes a lot of sense. So one, immediate, and then three, I think a further conversation could be had where we figure out what those numbers look like in a realistic fashion, and then we do our due diligence to make sure that the public knows moving forward what that looks like. Because I think, like Councilor Favela said, if all of a sudden you have a sidewalk cost that you didn't have and you're having trouble paying your groceries, that's a pretty rude awakening. So I want to make sure that we prevent that process and educate and talk to people as much as possible while we have thoughtful discussions about what that percentage of accountability looks like.
Sure. Thank you, Counselor. A couple of questions from me, and then we'll go back around. I think other members have follow-on questions. Mr. Thamer, could you walk me through the process of what does it take to repair a sidewalk? Is there, if you were to pass this on, like, let's say we were to go to option two, is there a permit required to do it, or they just do it? As far as constructing a sidewalk, is there design standards to go to it? Like, I know that we talked about a third of a yard or something, they have to get that. But, I know that it's not just like pouring concrete down there if they're DIYing it or something. Is there rebar involved? All of that stuff. I know what you said was the average cost is around less than $2,500. What is all involved, though, for a homeowner or property owner to have to repair a sidewalk panel?
They would have to get an encroachment permit from the city to do work in the right-of-way. We do have design standards, so we could provide them those standards. So I should back up on the encroachment permit. There is a cost for that, but that is something that we could look to do a reduced amount or waive in these instances. Let's see. So we could provide them with our engineering standards for sidewalks. And does that answer your question, or do you want to walk through how to actually?
I guess what it's getting to is it's like it doesn't necessarily feel like a simple like homeowner repair. I'm moderately handy. I wouldn't probably touch this. And so what you're doing is you're kind of pushing other people. You're pushing people to go to a contracted solution, which probably seems the most appropriate to maintain those quality standards, but also makes it really expensive. I think $2,500 to put on a property owner is to say that. And I understand that this is kind of a common way. Like option two, it sounds like it's pretty common in a lot of different cities. Like this is not a new thing.
Right.
It's just, yeah. I'm also curious about the resources, like what are the staff resources? So if we were to say option one, I mean, you don't have infinite hours for your staff. I know that like every time you get up here and you speak and talk about the things you're doing, I'm always just blown away because you don't have a huge team, and there's a lot of ground that you guys cover, and you guys do a tremendous job. If you were to take this on, what is the impact of that?
So
what are we saying no to, I guess?
Yeah, so I should say that when I came up with that cost of just under $2,500, that was actually to use a contractor.
Okay.
Not city staff. It would be considerably less if we use city staff. But to your point, we would be competing with a lot of other services that we provide because weather is a big factor when it comes to pouring concrete. And even though the work itself may not take a while, it takes a while for the concrete to cure. So we have to protect that sidewalk so people aren't walking through it. So it would be significant, drain on the city's staffing. But I believe that we could do most of these with contract work. And if we batch them together, I think we could get it below the 2,500 per panel or per project.
Sounds good. Okay, so just a couple follow on, and then we'll go back to other questions too. Just for consideration, has there been a consideration, number one, to not place this on necessarily the individual property owner, but maybe the HOA, and where there's an absence of an HOA, which is not a lot of communities that don't have HOAs, but would that be something that maybe reverts back to like the hybrid option or something? Have you considered that? And number two, I know that we do things like backflow testing every year. Like every year I get a notice and I pay the guy like $45 and he comes out and does a backflow test. Is there, and it's the guy, right? Everyone knows the guy that comes around. Is there something we can work out where maybe there's like a designated contractors with fixed pricing or something like that, where if we had a hybrid option or we had an option two, that we can make, do professional to standard replacement and come up with a program that way. And if it's on the homeowner, then they can say, I'm gonna call the guy, and then it's, considerably less or something like that at a discounted rate. Have either of those been considerations, or is that something that would be worth considering? I'd be looking on the council for, I guess, that side of it, but seeing if you guys have considered that first too.
No, we have not considered either of those options. I did just learn today that there are a couple of cities in this area that do have a contractor list, but I just learned of it today, so I'm not sure what, but I could certainly look into that and be able to report back next time we come to you.
Sounds good. Great. Thank you for the answers. Mayor Pro Tem, you had? I think I'm good, yeah. Okay. We'll start with Councilor Hamilton. We'll work on the line. How about that?
Thank you so much. Just since we just spoke about this, thank you. I'm happy I got to go now. So the contractors, you were talking about the city staff having to protect the work essentially. The contractors are committed to protecting, they're gonna, so that's part of that 2,500. I just wanna be clear that it's not like an over and above. Okay, thank you.
A clarification. Did you suggest that we would charge the homeowner a fee to get the permit to repair the sidewalk?
So there is a cost for an encroachment permit, but what I was saying is that we could decide, the council could decide to not charge in this circumstance, but an encroachment permit is for any work that someone is going to do in the right of way. But there is a fee associated with that currently.
All right, thank you.
Just to shed a little light on it, how much is a normal encroachment permit? $350?
Yes.
I will just step in here because I think the current code also has a fee waiver right now for that encroachment permit. I remember looking at that, so I think that's already been a consideration and been addressed.
Okay, thank you. It's quite expensive. It is.
Just a little going outside of the box here, but when we were speaking about the tree roots coming up under the sidewalk, do we have anything like an approved tree list that developers use on preferred trees to prevent the rooting from happening?
We do, yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess in that same vein, I think it would probably be worth looking at, whatever our process is when we sign off on sidewalks for developers, just to make sure they're hitting those best practices to stay away from that. I also think that, one of the things that our council tries to do is preserve a lot of the natural environment. And so I would want to pay attention to the rare but existing consideration that if we really want to preserve like a large tree that's gonna have a sidewalk going next to it, we're kind of asking, right, or we would have to plan that that's probably more likely to need to be repaired down the road. And I think assume some of that, and that just has to be part of our equation when we're looking to do that. So, overall, I like the conversation. I think if we do it in-house, maybe there's a member of the council that might be able to do the work. I mean, sounds like we'd have a qualified individual, so.
We're taking applications.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Thank you. Councilor Favela.
One comment for council and anyone listening, we have so many neighborhoods with trails behind their house, and we're not asking them to fix a trail when something goes wrong, the portion of the trail that's in front of their house. So I would like to have you all just food for thought.
Any other questions, council? Just one last comment, and it's just going back to something you said is, sort of ancillary, but just to put a note on it, like you talked about root barriers. I don't know much about those, but I'd be curious to know about that, and if that is something that is preventive enough, is that something that maybe we should consider adding to our development code, as far as making sure something like that is installed, especially, you talk about putting trees there, and that's a big culprit, so is that something worth considering? That's all. One more? Okay.
Just a refresher, please. You can grind a raised sidewalk if it's below what level?
2 inches.
2 inches.
And that has to do with the thickness of the sidewalk.
All right.
So only 50% of the sidewalk thickness.
If a resident were to call and say, hey, I have a sidewalk that's elevated an inch, when might they be able to have someone or the city come out and grind it down?
So we could get someone to come assess it right away within a few days. As far as when the grinding would happen is going to depend on several factors, from our workload to weather conditions. Typically, I would say within a month, because we will be trying to group these work orders together so that when we're loading up the truck, we're not doing it for just one. We're going to try to do several together for efficiency.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I have one other comment.
One other from Councilor Wells.
And in our tree ordinance, the ones that we do plant along the sidewalks have a tendency not to cause root problems. They have got condensed roots so that they don't raise the sidewalks like they do in Old Town here, the trees that have been planted years ago.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we have from council. Do you have what you need from us, or do you need more clear direction? What would you?
This is perfect.
Okay.
And we'll be coming back and following up with you.
Sounds good. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
All right, that closes our presentation for this evening. We're going to move on to our first item of business. This is the second reading of ordinance number 1475. This is the approval for the issuance of a limited tax general obligation bond for the Ridgefield Community and Recreation Center. And for that, we'll go to Mr. Kirk Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council and residents. So like you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, this is the second reading of the ordinance number 1475. So what we're looking at here is the potential issuance of limited tax general obligation bonds for the community center. And what we're looking for council is to give authority for the city manager and myself to enter into a sale and obtain the funds to build that community center. So we're just looking for council to give us the structure that is what we want for sale parameters. And what we're looking at is $15.5 million. That would include $15 million for the construction and construction management costs for the city portion of the project, and then $500,000 for issuance costs as well. And the final maturity date to make the sale would be December 1st of 2026 with a 20-year term. So the maturity date for the bond payments would be in 2046. and then a true interest cost not to exceed 5.5%. And that gives us the flexibility to make the decision for the best sale and best interest of the city. So with that, that's parameters. We've had multiple discussions on this already. I'll turn it back to you for any questions.
Great, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Council, any questions for Mr. Johnson or staff on this issue? None. I do, before we move into any motions or anything like that, I think it is worth clarifying that this is, I've been asked about this a couple of times in the last week. This would be a councilmanic action, which means that council would approve the bond. Anytime we hear bond, I think a lot of times people think, you know, like school bonds, this is not going to go to voters. This will not raise your taxes. This is not a cost that is directly passed on to taxpayers. And so this is something we're deciding and the city's doing out of its own debt capacity. So with that in mind, any other questions or comments before we move on? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Julie, would you please read the ordinance into the record?
Ordinance number 1475, ordinance of the City of Ridgefield, Washington, authorizing the issuance of one or more series of limited tax general obligation bonds of the city in the principal amount of not to exceed $15,500,000 to finance cost of developing, constructing, improving, and equipping a city community center, and to pay cost of issuance the bonds, providing the form, terms, and covenants of the bonds, providing for the disposition of the proceeds sales of the bonds, delegating authority to improve the final terms of the bonds, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Thank you very much. And council, I would accept a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance number 1475 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Hamilton, seconded by Burkle. Any remaining discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Julie, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Burkle?
Yes.
Councilmember Wells?
Yes.
Councilmember Favela?
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Chipman?
Yes.
Mayor Colt?
Aye. Thank you, council. The motion carries, and we are on our way. Appreciate it. Okay. Our next item of business this evening is the first reading of ordinance number 1477. This is the 2026 budget amendment. Mr. Johnson, back over to you.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. What we have before you today is just a follow-up to ordinance number 1476, where council implemented a rental assistance program and revised Ridgefield Municipal Code 3.10 at our last meeting. The funding for this program comes from a state credit against the sales tax portion that the state gets, so it's not an increase in sales tax to any of the buyers in the Ridgefield area, but it is a credit against the amount that this state would have received otherwise. And it can only be used for affordable housing purposes. So what council asked us to do at the last meeting was to come back before we do our normal spring supplemental budget to set a budget for this program so that we can get started a little bit sooner than we would have been able to otherwise. What council instructed for staff to bring back was $50,000 for 2026, and then come back in 2027. We'll talk about the budget for 2027 during the normal budget process, but come back to council in 2027 with some details on the program to potentially make changes to the program itself. But what we're asking is one single item for $50,000, and with that, council does have the option, if they so choose, to waive second so we can get this done. From the time that the original program was approved on March 12th, we have 30 days till that goes into effect. We've worked with our nonprofit agencies and staff to get this program ready to go with a target of May 1st. This would allow us to get to that point and get this started as soon as possible. Perfect. Any questions? I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Council, any questions? Pretty straightforward. Okay. That's easy. Seeing none, Ms. Julie, would you please read the ordinance into the record?
Ordinance number 1477, ordinance of the City of Ridgefield, Washington, amending ordinance number 1455 pertaining to the 2026 budget.
Great, thank you very much. This is first reading. However, we do have the option to waive second. Council, if you would so like to, I'll give you an opportunity at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I move to waive second on this.
I'll second.
And,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, say, and
I move to waive second and approve ordinance number 1477 as presented.
thank you very much.
I'll second.
Okay, was it previously seconded by?
Yes.
Okay, so moved by Favela, seconded by Chipman. Any discussion, council? Hearing none. Ms. Julie, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Favela.
Yes.
Councilmember Wells.
Yes.
Councilmember Burkle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chipman.
Yes.
Mayor Cole.
Aye. Thank you very much, council. Motion carries, and we're on our way on that one, too. Let's see. Okay, we have a third item of business tonight. This is the first reading of ordinance number 1478. It's repealing ordinance number 1470 and revising the corporate boundary of the city of Ridgefield to include a portion of South Royal Road. For this, we'll go to Ms. Miranda Lang.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in 2025, the city discovered that a portion of South Royal Road was not included with the road sections that were annexed into the city. In January of this year, City Council adopted Ordinance 1470 to revise the boundary to include the right-of-way. During the county review, it was identified that there were some questions and suggested edits that the county had. Upon meeting together, we reached an agreement of what that should look like, and that is what is presented to you tonight.
Thank you. Council, is there any questions for Ms. Lang? All right. Ms. Julie, would you please read the ordinance into the record?
Ordinance number 1478, ordinance of the City of Ridgefield, Washington, repealing ordinance number 1470 and revising the corporate boundary of the City of Ridgefield to include a portion of South Royal Road.
Great, thank you. And this is first reading. And
I'll make a motion.
okay, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1478, which repeals ordinance number 1470, and waive second reading.
Okay.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved by Chipman, seconded by Favela to adopt ordinance number 1478 as presented and waive second reading. Council, any discussion?
No.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Julie, would you please call the roll?
Yeah. Councilmember Hamilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Favela.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Wells.
Yes.
Councilmember Burkle.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chipman.
Yes.
Mayor Cole.
Aye. Thank you, council. Ayes have it. The motion passes. Appreciate that. Okay. We have a fourth item of business this evening. This is a motion to approve the elevated East Side Reservoir Construction Management Contract. So, Ms. Lang, back over to you, ma'am.
Thank you again. So the city requires the support of a dedicated construction management team to ensure the successful completion of the East Side Elevated Water Reservoir project. The project's scale, complexity, and funding requirements will benefit from the specialized oversight. And the city staff does not currently have the capacity or technical resources to manage the day-to-day construction activities. The requested contract amount is $1,304,681, and the scope of work includes contract management and administration, submittal review and recommendations for approvals, construction observations and weekly construction progress meetings, materials testing, and engineer of record special inspections, and many other components. The funding for the project is comprised of a combination of debt issuance for a drinking water state revolving fund loan for $15 million and water system development charges for the balance of the construction and construction management expenses. The contract would be awarded to Consor. Any questions?
Council, any questions? Councilor Burkle.
Just a comment. I would like to thank city staff for going back and renegotiating the original price from Consort and saving our city approximately $250,000. Thank you very, very much.
Councilor Hamilton.
Thank you. I second Councilor Burkle's sentiments. I was reading through the contract and I appreciated that there's very clear assumptions and deliverables, so I think that language makes a lot of sense in the scope of work. And I was just curious, if it goes longer than 30 months, which is the contract, what happens then?
we will have to have a conversation about a scope change as far as duration goes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, council? Okay.
Yeah, that's all right, sorry.
All right. Okay, at this time, if there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve awarding the contract for the construction management services for the elevated East Side Water Reservoir Project to Consor North America Incorporated for the amount of $1,304,681.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Hamilton, seconded by Burkle. Any remaining discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you, council. Motion carries. All right, our final item of business this evening is a motion to approve Urban Downs 2, Phase 2 and 3 final plat. Ms. Lust.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council and members of the public. The item before you for action this evening is Phases 2 and 3 of the Urban Downs 2 planned unit development. The project, next slide please, is located east of Northeast 10th or South 85th Avenue between Urban Downs to the south and Greeley Farms Phase 3 to the north. Next slide, please. This shows the preliminary planned unit development layout. Council previously approved final plat for Phase 1, also known as Meadowview by Pulte Homes. Phases 2 and 3 are outlined here in orange. Next slide, please. All right, Phase 2 and 3, the final plat before you this evening includes 93 lots. It is a mix of single-family detached residential lots and single-family attached or townhouse residential lots. 61 lots detached, 32 townhouse lots. The single-family detached lots range from 4,600 to 8,200 square feet, on average 5,300. The townhome lots range from 3,400 to 3,800 square feet. The overall average throughout these phases lot area between both product types is 4,700 square feet. And this was developed and approved through the preliminary PUD process to achieve our codified goals for mix and variety of housing types within a subdivision. Okay. If we go quickly to the next slide, while Phase 2 and 3 doesn't have internal open space areas, there are 2 direct pedestrian connections to the large open space park and trail area in Phase 1, which is kind of outlined in this image. It's immediately to the west of the phases before you this evening. Okay. Julie, can you just bounce back to the previous slide? Thank you. All right. Staff review for this project is complete. Public-private improvements are all complete. No performance bonding is required. Draft CCNRs were reviewed and as a condition of approval are required to be recorded along with the plat. I'll note that as with some other plats we've looked at recently, there is currently an urban holding overlay on the property. Our code allows urban holding to be removed concurrent with final plat approval. So part of this approval is to both approve the final plat and concurrently remove the urban holding overlay. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ms. Lust. Council, any questions for staff on this item? Okay, if there are none, it's a final plat, so I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Urban Downs 2, Phase 2 and 3 final plat as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Davis, seconded by Wells. Any remaining discussion? Hearing none, all
I have one.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I have a question that I'll just bring up. Is the attached walls between the two, it's a common wall, is that, and I know staff probably will not be able to answer it, but it's a fire department question, will that be a firewall, 1.5 inch thick sheetrock on each side of that attach, where it's a common wall?
Typically, for common walls on townhouse products, yes, fire suppression is required as part of the building permit process.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, other comments? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, council. Motion carries. All right. That will conclude our business for this evening. We're going to move on to a public hearing now. So this is a public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 1479. This is the approval of Urban Downs 2 phases 2 and 3 development agreement. Ms. Luss, back over to you.
Thank you again, Mayor. So bouncing forward to a related development agreement, and this is a public hearing and first reading only. No action is being requested at this meeting. So concurrent with the final plat review for this project, the city and the builder, Lennar Northwest, have proceeded with a draft development agreement addressing the townhome lots 53 to 84 in these phases of the project. The terms of the development agreement, which are included in full in your packet, are fairly straightforward. The goal is to achieve a mix of housing types, including attached townhome middle housing, while allowing a semi-attached product with enhanced design features, 2-car garages, fenced and screened bin storage, and additional street trees as part of a design package being addressed through the proposed development agreement. There are a lot of exhibits to the DA showing different proposed architectural elevations for the products in this area, as well as a composite map and some sample plot plans. Those are in your packet, but I think the next slide does show just an example. Again, these are the 32 attached product lots within the Urban Downs 2 phase 2 and 3 area. The composite sketch shows how some different product styles would be interspersed within that area. And then the next slide simply gives an example of a plot plan showing a semi-attached product, as well as how some of those architectural enhancements would be achieved, as well as avoidance of having mirrored or identical products next to each other. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mayor, for any initial discussion before the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lust. Any questions for staff at this point, council? Councilor Favela? We'll start there and we'll go down here.
Thank you. Do we know how tall those little gates are to hide the garbage cans? Because most CCNRs require that the garbage is not visible from the street, and I'm concerned that that little fence isn't going to be tall enough for even like the largest recycle cans, or if someone goes over in their garbage, and then all you see is like garbage peeking out by the street.
Sure, the proposed height for the screening fence is 4 feet.
Do we know how tall the largest garbage can is?
Between 43 and 45 inches tall.
Okay. That's your only question? Okay, great. We'll go to Councilor Hamilton.
Thank you. Sorry, I was excited to answer. I was like, I'm talking about the same subject. Yeah, so that was my my concern as well. I went and measured mine last night. It was like 45 to 46 inches at the tallest lip of the whatever. But I also noticed when I was reading through the development agreement in 5.3, it says maximum height of 4 feet. And I think it should say at least required at 4 feet in that arena, I think, in order to prevent what Councilor Favela was talking about. And I, on another note, want to say I think that this development agreement was a really innovative look at creating new product and thinking outside of the box. And I think that these are really inventive and really cool how they created some new features, and it's not your typical product. And I really appreciate the work that went into the DA so that we could have stuff like this in Ridgefield.
Thank you. Councilor Burkle.
Yes, just a quick question. I noticed that each unit will have a patio. Will that be a covered patio, as I think we do require porches on homes?
Based on the current designs, there are 3 different product types in here, and I believe 2 of the 3 are currently designed with the rear patio being fully covered.
Thank you.
I'd like to correct my last question because I asked it in the wrong pretext. I should have been asked now instead of in the phase part of it. So that's all I wanted to say. I asked at the wrong time, and that was on the common wall.
Other questions or comments, council?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilor Davis.
Thank you. I think what really stands out to me is I think it's a great creative solution. I think that it's encouraging to see a lot of the developers finding opportunities to get what's commonly referred to as missing middle housing into our community. And I find this to be just a really unique, interesting, in all the good ways, solution to bring some townhomes into the community and have it blend in with a lot of the detached single family. And so just hats off to the creativity of both the developer and staff. Thanks.
Yeah.
The overhang on the door, I know we can't really see, but it is covered, correct, on both models or the variations?
The variations do, I believe, show a cover over the front porch step.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And we will confirm.
All right. If there's no other questions from council, I'm going to open the public hearing. The public hearing is now open. If you signed up with city council, with the city clerk before the meeting, your name will be called and you will receive permission to unmute your microphone or step up to the podium. If you did not sign up in advance but would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature on your toolbar. If you're joining by phone, press *9 to raise your hand and press *6 to mute or unmute. The city clerk will grant you permission to speak. And when speaking, please state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes, and there will be no back and forth discussion with city council. This public hearing is now open. Is there anybody in the room wishing to give comment during the hearing? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Jean Stemp, and I am Vice President of Friends of the Ridgefield National Wildlife Refuge. And I would just like to make sure that as the city is looking at the CC&Rs for these new developments, that we are paying attention to both state laws in terms of making sure they're not requiring ornamental lawns, and also to the city's ordinances for dark sky, to make sure that the lighting within the neighborhood and the lighting on the houses fits into those ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stemp. Is there anybody else wishing to give comment on this specific item during the public hearing? Okay, Ms. Julie, is there anybody online?
Not seeing one online.
All right, I will give the room one last chance. Anybody? Okay, hearing none. This public hearing is now closed. And council, is there any remaining discussion? All right, if that's the case, then Ms. Julie, would you please read the ordinance into the record?
Ordinance number 1479, ordinance of the City of Richland, Washington, approving a development agreement with Lennar Northwest LLC for the development of portion of the Urban Downs 2 residential community.
Great, thank you. And this is first reading only, and it'll be coming back to us at a later date. Okay, that concludes our public hearings for the evening. We're going to go back into public comment. If anyone wishing to speak to City Council regarding items not subject to a specific public hearing may come forward at this time to the podium or use the raise hand feature located at the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For controls over the phone, press *9 to raise hand and press *6 to mute or unmute. And please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anybody wishing to give public comment tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, City Staff, Jeff Vigue. I just wanted to make a couple comments on your sidewalk management program. First of all, I want to commend the city for initiating this. As a resident of Old Town, and my wife and I, we walk Old Town several times a week, and I can tell you that my opinion is many of these sidewalks are unsafe and are a definite safety hazard. Luckily, I'm still able to have no mobility issues, so it's not an issue for me, but I can see where it would be for other people. So my thought process would be go with option one, have the city fix all the sidewalks to standard, to have a level playing field, start from there, and then moving forward, maybe do a hybrid program moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Vigu. Is there anybody else in the room tonight wishing to give public comment? Ms. Julie, anybody online?
Not seeing one online.
Okay, hearing none, we will close public comment and we will move on to council reports. Council, anybody itching to go first this evening? Councilor Davis? Yeah.
Sure.
You shrugged, so
Sure,
that was enough for me.
Yeah, that's enough. All right. No, it was good. I'm sure I won't be the only one that offers kudos to staff for an amazing state of the city, but I will just leave it at that. I thought it was a great state of the city. The Parks Task Force for the county keeps moving on down the tracks. We've had some pretty good insight. I think not recommendations, but the options are going to be things that we would find agreeable. We'll see, but that keeps moving along. First and foremost, our priority is going to be to keep the wonderful work that our Parks Department within the city is able to do and be able to retain the resources to keep that going. Let's see, this morning we had the legislative breakfast hosted by the Greater Vancouver Chamber of Commerce that all of us were able to go to, and so I won't dive too much into that as well, but it was good to get a briefing from our legislative contingent on the tail end now of council of the legislative session now that's wrapped up. And then Mayor Cole and Councilor Hamilton and I were able to go and tour EOCF to learn just about how they serve kids and families. They facilitate like the Head Start program and things of that nature. And so that was very rewarding. My wife, once upon a time, was a teacher for Head Start. And so I've seen a lot of what that looks like from her perspective, but it was cool to see that, I guess, through a different lens and seeing opportunities for us to partner. So I guess last thing is happy baseball opening day to all who celebrate. Go Mariners.
Go Mariners.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Ravella.
Thank you. Yeah, huge shout out to the staff who helped us put on the State of the City. I think oftentimes people come to hear what we have to say, but I think what we have to say is great and fun, but it's really the staff behind the scenes making sure that everything goes off perfectly and that people are taken care of, and all the volunteers that showed up to talk about the great work that they're doing, and other city staff to talk about what they're doing in their parts of the city. So I feel like everything that everybody else did was much more than us just sitting up there talking, so I really appreciate that. I have been busy. I was recently appointed to the Clark County Opioid Abatement Council, so I have been busy they threw me right in the thick of it. It is RFP time, so we are reviewing a lot of programs, doing some really good work in the substance abuse community, so I've been busy doing that, and I attended the breakfast with everyone else, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor
Thank you so much. So State of the City, obviously we have to say thank you to all of you because it was just incredible. But I want to give a particular shout out because she told me she listens to Megan DeMoss. Megan DeMoss was the council whisperer that got us all of our cards and made sure that we were prepared to sit up there. She did all the legwork, and then we got to sit up there and do it. So Megan, thank you very, very much. And I want to welcome Mia to the team as well. It was nice to meet her that night. I got to attend the Ridgefield Main Street community meeting where our very own mayor was one of the speakers. He did a wonderful job. And we also got to hear from Ethan Perry from the Port and Jesse Jimenez from PAL. And it was a really comprehensive look at all the programs and a really community-focused night that felt really good. And the food was delicious too from Nest, right? That's where them? Yeah. It was good. I personally, in my new position at the YWCA, helped to facilitate what's called the Shine Gala this last weekend. And I'm very happy to be on the tail end of that because putting on a gala, ooh, boy, I didn't know. But our mayor and his wife were able to attend, which was awesome because one of our very own Ridgefield residents was honored that night. Dr. Megan Dudley, who is the president of the Ridgefield Multicultural Initiative, was awarded the Val Joshua Racial Justice Award. And so I just wanted to give her a shout out for the work that she does in Ridgefield. And I was really pleased we got to honor her that night, as well as Dr. Karen Edwards from Clark College. So two very big staples in our community I wanted to say thank you to. I went to the school board meeting, and I had there was a couple summer maintenance projects that I thought people would be pumped on, that I took a picture of their slide. I apologize, I should have pulled this up. Okay, so there's a roof replacement going on at the high school this summer, but then the RHS tennis courts that everybody drives by, they are getting resurfaced, and they're adding pickleball lines to all 6 courts. So that means those will be closed from June 15th to July 15th, just something to keep in mind. And then they were talking about at the RHS Stadium, they're removing bleachers from the student section, and they're replacing those. So they're not putting the bleachers back in because the kids they said they get so rowdy, and they like to jump and they like just get really into cheering alongside of the cheerleaders and rooting for the team. So they're going to just remove those and make sure that they've cleared all nuts, bolts, things that could hurt children afterwards, so that they can just jump to their heart's content and not break chairs. And then they're doing more parking lot striping, and there's Southridge, there's all kinds of updates that they have going on. So that was a fun meeting, and I thought it was interesting. They mentioned there's a superintendent student advisory council, and one of the board members mentioned our youth commission here and being a good inspiration for that. So I wanted to say that the good work ripples out. I love it all. And then today we did the chamber legislative review event and the EOCF tour and the fire commission meeting, and it's all been great. I feel great. I love it. Happy to be here.
Nice. Thank you very much, Councilor. Councilor Burkle.
Thank you. I'll keep it short. State of the City, I thought, was very well done. I think it was well received. Very, very positive comments. We were able to spend 3 lovely hours at the Clark County study session. If you've never had the opportunity to do that, you will find it, you will. Main Street put on an absolutely terrific program the other evening, and as someone reported, our mayor made a wonderful presentation. As well today at the retired Ridgefield group, Mayor Cole was there, answered numerous questions until they ran out of questions, so I really appreciate, and they appreciated that. And also this morning at the Greater Vancouver Legislative Breakfast, got to talk with many of our legislators and find out where they are on certain issues. So thank you.
Okay, Councilor Wells.
Okay, I'm going to correct Mr. Burkle on the county meeting. It was 3.5 hours. Yeah. And I know he was there all the time because he rode with me. So I just wanted to share that. Sorry, Mr. Burkle, but.
I'll do better next time.
Okay. I attended the Clark Regional Alliance Board. I'm one of the board members. Clark Regional is paring back on some of their decisions in the next year or two due to the economy the way it is, being a little more conservative. Not that they're quitting anything, but they're just not being quite as aggressive as what they had planned in the past. This is a personal note, the pain that everybody has. 2 weeks ago, I went and got fuel in my pickup, and the pump shuts off at $175, and I got 40 gallons. Today, I went and got fuel, the pump shut off at $175, and I got 31 gallons. So that's a difference in 2 weeks' time. And anyway, that was just a note for the public. Also today at the legislative forum that we attended, Mr. Burkle and I had the opportunity to talk with Alicia Topper, and I'm going to spark everybody's interest. On May 18th, the Ridgefield Junction Neighborhood Association is having their annual meeting, and she is going to be there. and she has some comments to make that has come down from the legislature this year that will help seniors with their taxes. And the tax brackets have raised a lot, and it comes from the jurisdiction where you live, what the medium income is. So you can be have a higher threshold if you live in Ridgefield for tax help. I'm trying to find the word, but that's what I'm trying to say. And I guess that was it. So if you're curious whether you will fall into the category, attend the meeting on May 18th at the Dollar Tree.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
You know, my list is pretty much the same, so I just won't even go into it.
Nothing, yeah.
It's okay, it's great, yeah.
Okay.
We're all busy.
Yeah, we are. And thank you. We recognize that everyone here is very involved and very busy, so thank you for that. And I'll just go back to the state of the city. Of course, thank you to staff for helping plan, especially our communications team and Ms. DeMoss were fantastic as usual. We're sometimes like herding cats up here, and they do a really good job with it. It was a bit of a different format this year, which I really appreciated. Sometimes necessity breeds, opportunity. Yeah, so I like how we did it this year. It was really good. I heard a lot of great feedback from community members about how they like that format too. It felt a little more comfortable and intimate. Just as we've been out and about in the community, I've talked to other people who are not from our community who have attended other states that the city addresses and have said that ours was a really fantastic, delightful event. And my response to that is a lot of times it gets treated as like this mechanical policy speech where you just say, hey, here's what we're doing. You got to update people on what's going on. But we tend to make it more of a community celebration, and that's kind of fun through our Make a Difference Awards. It was really especially fun to honor people like Kathy Winters this year and Neighbors Helping Neighbors, both very much deserved, and to be able to celebrate our community and the people who are truly doing a lot of work. And it's not just the winners. There's multiple nominees that we go through, and you get to see firsthand just the effort that goes into really making an impact in this community. So thank you for that. And council, you guys all did fantastic. Thank you for your partnership in that. And it was really especially good to introduce our RISE initiative for this coming year, which was going to focus primarily on downtown. We talked quite a bit about that, but there's really an opportunity, and it's not just a master plan and exercise, it really is a community engagement effort as well. So looking forward to that plan coming together. It was also mentioned that we went to EOCF today and did a tour. Something that stuck out to me there is how much childcare really matters, how much it becomes an economic driver. It's not just a luxury that some parents can pay for, or some parents need, but it really is. In fact, in Washington State alone, they said today, $6 billion is lost in earnings every year because of parents who have no access to adequate safe child care. And so when you think about $6 billion not being produced in our state, that's a huge thing. And what does that mean for this community? So as we start looking towards things like our recreation center and our community center, I think we've been talking about childcare will be a component that's vital to us. It's not just a nice to have. I think it's going to be essential. So I like that. Councilor Burkle mentioned the work session with the county council last week. It was the cities of La Center, Ridgefield, and Camas went there, presented, talked about transfer of development rights. This is an effort to really preserve farmland where we really need to preserve farmland most inside of Clark County. Once farmland goes away, it's gone forever. And that's not lost on us as we look at our own growth plans and we look at how do we facilitate our growth and how do we meet the demand that's being placed on us by the public and by the state. And Mr. Stewart and staff have worked really hard over the past few months, and you guys have done an incredible job going through what transfer of development rights is and how somebody who can own property can have their development rights purchased by somebody else who's a receiving place, where it's maybe less characterized by agriculture, more by development. And so that helps us lock up ag land in perpetuity, and I think it's a really good program. So the challenge now will just be convincing the county council still that this is the right course of action, not just for our community because we have vision in what we're doing here, but it really is the right thing we can do for the multiple farmers who are here in Clark County and who still want to make this their livelihood. So we hope to see that coming together too. Councilor Hamilton, great job on the Shine Gala. That was definitely a lot of fun. And again, special recognition to Dr. Megan Dudley and Dr. Karen Edwards for their work to fight racism in our community. So one quick last plug. This weekend is an event called Get Involved Ridgefield. It's being hosted by Ridgefield Main Street. There's going to be numerous organizations there. It's from 2 to 5 p.m. right here at the RAC. I highly encourage you, if you're thinking about getting involved, to come see that. Our city staff will be there, and it'll be good to just have present the public with a lot of opportunities for how you get involved. But that's this weekend. So that's all for me. We'll go to you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and member of the community. Most of what I would have covered, you've already covered in a great fashion, so thank you very much for doing that. The one thing I did want to make sure the public was aware of is next Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. in this room, there will be a special meeting of the Ridgefield Coalition of Governments. This is a meeting that is held annually between our city council, our school board of directors, and our port commissioners. An opportunity for all of you to share the work that you are doing jointly and separately and get a better sense of how we can work together. So looking forward to that meeting next Thursday at 5 p.m. in this room. Other than that, happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council, any questions for the city manager? All right, thank you, sir. Go to Mr. Thamer in Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to report out that this week our development engineering team from community development and our public works team participated in a lean process improvement workshop focused on development review and development inspections. And I was able to attend the report out this morning, and I was just impressed by the team spending so much time and effort on making sure that we're doing our processes in an efficient manner, looking for gaps and looking for areas where we're duplicating efforts to increase our efficiency, and also just the focus on our developers, making sure that the process is a good process for them and that it's smooth and efficient, and then also on our end users, not just Public Works, who most of the infrastructure goes to, but also to some of the private storm facilities that are transferred to HOAs, making sure that they're getting a good product, and also some of the privately maintained parks, making sure they're getting good products from our development process. So that's all I have, but happy to answer any questions.
Great. Council, any questions for Public Works?
Not a question, but a comment. Congratulations to your wife for her nomination in The Reflector. Not only are you a very hard worker, but apparently you have a power couple in your house, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm proud of her.
Other questions? All right. Thank you again. Mr. Johnson, we'll go over to you next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. Since the last time we talked about it, the city's been notified that we received 2 more awards. This morning, well, first I'll start. Last meeting, we presented the budget book and performance metrics to council. This morning, we found out that we received an award from the Government Finance Officers Association for our presentation on the budget, and they specifically mentioned, at least one of the reviewers, that we did an outstanding job on the performance metrics and how it meets council's goals. So I wanted to highlight that. And then we also received an award for the popular annual financial report, which is a condensed version of the annual report. And we got that award as well. And then finally, we start our audit next Wednesday. So, Mr. Mayor, you will be set up for a meeting, or you already are set up for a meeting to be interviewed by the auditor, as well as Mr. Stewart on the 2nd. So any questions that you may have, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes.
I want to know, do these awards, do you get actual hardware for these?
We have plaques that are in my office, and then we get a little medallion every time we get it for each year.
Okay.
So.
I was curious how they got displayed, right? I mean, congratulations to the team, of course.
It's
almost,
just so much
it
winning.
almost
Yeah,
seems
so, yeah.
like, it's like,
No,
it seems like it's just,
I wish
got
they'd give
another
us some
award.
additional funding so we can do a lot more projects around town. They don't seem to want to give us money, they just give us that medallion.
Can you melt it down to turn it?
yeah.
Not advocating for that. Okay, any other questions for Finance Director? Okay, great. Congratulations. Thank you very much for the update. Yes, our City Attorney, good to see you.
I got one. I'm sorted. Well, I have to say, with over 15 years working at the city, that was my first State of the City address, and I was blown away. It was awesome. So I thought it was just everything I would have expected it to be. But beyond that, I don't have anything to report. Just happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. And I said this when you told me that last week. I'm blown away that that was your first one in 15 years. That's impressive. Yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Parker? Okay, great. Thank you. And we'll go to Ms. Lust.
Nothing to add this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anything for community development? All right. Thank you very much. Ms. Naughton-Harris?
I do have a couple of things this evening. First of all, I do want to echo the shout out to Megan DeMoss. I know that she really worked hard on this event, and I am just always amazed by the impressive work that she does and her passion for this community, and I think it showed in this event too. So thank you, Megan. I also wanted just to let you know that our Discover Downtown Dash is coming up again on April 1st, Saturday. That's the 4th. And it is basically a giant scavenger hunt around downtown. People need to solve clues that take you to different locations and different businesses, and then they get another clue to go to the next place. So it will feature a lot of interaction with our merchants downtown, as well as some of our art and history. There's also a couple other things going on the same day. Ridgefield Wine is doing a sip and paint. The Refuge, the National Wildlife Refuge, is having a writer's workshop. And as on every first Saturday, the art gallery from 5 to 7 will have an artist reception to announce the new theme for the art gallery for the following month. And I think that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the Deputy City Manager? All right, thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Chief Doriot.
Nothing to add, Mr. Mayor, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for the Chief? All right, thank you very much, Council. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.